But I want to talk really quickly about these principles and how they need to be applied as you get ready to maintain and not just obtain. The principle of specificity is be specific about what you want to accomplish. What is it you're trying to do? And make sure that you hold yourself accountable not only to outcome goals that are specific and measurable and attainable, but also to behavioral goals or performance goals, as we talked about. Overload principle, you can't just do this much. That's a threshold of training. You have to do this much. You have to get in your target zone. So with cardiovascular, if I'm just going fast enough to get my heart rate a little bit up, I'm probably not doing as much good as I should. I'm not saying you have to run fast if you're running. I'm just saying you have to run faster than a walk, okay? It might be that you start with a walk, but if you find yourself you're still at your resting heart rate, you're probably not exercising hard enough. You need to increase the intensity a little bit. So we're going to be looking at the target zone in a couple of minutes in the FITT principle, which is where we got be fit and stay fit. But overload principle is going to say you need to get in your target zone, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. But principle of progression is start slow and work your way up. It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen that you got to where you were overnight, so let yourself enjoy the time that you have and do it gradually. Principle of reversibility, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, okay? Or in our case, some of us, if you don't work at it, you're going to gain it, okay? So you need to be careful about that principle as well as applying the principle of specificity. Principle of diminishing returns, as you get more and more fit, you're going to find yourself not making as great a gains. And that's just because as you become, when I was 308 pounds, I could lose a lot of weight fairly quickly, okay? And that was kind of rewarding. I mean, it's got to say, okay, I got on the scales, and I said, you know, gosh, I lost 10 pounds this week. That's amazing. Now, a lot of that was water loss, but it still was 10 pounds. I felt pretty good about that. Well, as time progressed, I didn't see that kind of difference. And you all know what I'm talking about. You see less and less of difference. So there's a principle of diminishing returns. Don't get discouraged because you don't lose as much as fast if you're trying to do your body comp. Or in the case of cardiovascular, that you're not getting a resting heart rate to where what you need to be as quickly as you thought it would happen. It takes a little bit more and a little bit more time and a little more effort to get that same type of return. Rest and recovery. More is not necessarily better. If I'm saying, gosh, if I could do this with 5 days a week working out, what it would be like for 7 days a week? Well, even God had to rest one day. And I came to grips with that this summer as I was working out. Well, my wife helped me with this, coming to grips with this. Sunday is your day off. If you work Monday through Saturday and you're biking, you're going to take Sunday off. And it's very important to give yourself that. Give yourself some time to rest and recover. Weightlifting, they're saying with endurance, 3 times a week is probably your best bet. Strength, same kind of thing. 3 times a week is your best bet. You need to give your body a chance to recover. So that's the principle of rest and recovery. And the principle of individuality, because it works for me, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. I could have come in and talked to you about cycling, not again because I'm an enthusiast, but because I like to eat. But that's really not what's best for you. You need to choose the exercise and the activity that's best for you so you can maintain that over a longer period of time. So let's go on to the next slide and talk a little bit about the FIT formula as we finish up. Frequency, intensity, and time. How often are you going to do it? How long are you going to do it when you do it? And how hard are you going to do it? That's the question. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide as we look at this. The type is up to you as well. The next slide is going to be telling you a little bit about one example of maintaining, and you've got this here. It might be hard to read. Give you some examples of things you can do in the 5 health-related components of fitness. You should warm up 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to work muscular strength, a minimum of 2 20-minute workout sessions. Muscular endurance, at least 3 30-minute sessions each week. Cardiovascular endurance, is suggested you have 3 20-minute workouts of continuous aerobic activity, keeping your heart rate sustained in that, we'll talk about target zone in just a second. And then you have flexibility, 10 to 20 minutes of daily stretching, and you have a cool down. And again, those are just ways of maintaining a minimum level of overall fitness. With regards to body comp, which is the next slide, what should you do? Understand that the key to weight control is keeping energy intake or food and energy output in balance. Again, 3,500 calories is 1 pound of fat, so if you consume 100 calories a day more than your body needs, you're going to gain 10 pounds a year. That's the bottom line. How easy is that to do? Well, I had a statistic one time of a person that used a manual typewriter. I don't use it anymore because nobody ever uses a manual typewriter. But a person using a manual typewriter versus a person that's word processing or using an electric typewriter, that change enough caused that person to gain 10 pounds a year. Just changing from one machine to another, manual. So that's why we're gaining weight, is because we've gone to technology. No, that's not true. But that's an example. As our life becomes easier and the machines, come into play, sometimes it actually is a detriment to us. Recent studies show that exercise increases metabolism during a workout and causes your metabolism to stay increased for a longer period of time. I'm going to suggest to you that the biggest benefit to me of exercising this summer and last spring wasn't the fact that I was able to burn calories that day, but that my BMR was raised and I was burning more calories at rest. So when I went to sleep at night, I knew I was burning probably twice the calories I was the night earlier in the spring and maybe in the previous fall. So really the greatest benefit is not that when I go out and bike I burn 500 calories. That's wonderful, but I consume 3,500. So it's like, okay, 500 is wonderful. You add that to what I burn on a regular basis and I might be breaking even. But really the bottom line is as I continue to exercise and you get into that routine and you change your lifestyle, then your basal metabolic rate increases and you're able to burn more calories at rest. So while you're doing your everyday job at work, you're actually able to be better fit and stay fit. So that's the key. And that's why regular activity is important for everybody's routine. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the target zone. And I'm going through this quickly because we're almost out of time. In fact, we probably are out of time, but I want to finish up because I got something else to give you here. This is what you want to be, and depending on what health-related components you're working on, you want to get into the target zone. You have to get to the optimal level, okay? And that means you're going to have to get your heart rate sustained above rest. You're going to have to be probably about 40 to 60% of what your heart rate is at rest. You get it up there and maintain that for about 20 minutes. That's where your target zone is, and that's how long you need to do it. Using the frequency, intensity, time, and type, if we're going to say, I want to be a jogger, you want to jog fast enough to get your heart rate up there, maybe 60%. Maximal would be 80% of your resting heart rate. Get it up there, sustain it for 20 minutes, and you're getting some good out of it. If you go too slow and you don't get your heart rate sustained up there in that level, you probably are not accomplishing what you really want to accomplish with regards to strengthening your heart. So thinking about target zone. Now, cardiovascular, muscular endurance, muscular strength, those things can all improve your body comp. So be thinking about that. Well, maybe you want to improve both areas. Well, if you strengthen one, you are also improving on the other. So that's important to realize too. So let's move on, and I'm going to do this quickly because now we're up to evaluate, and this is the last step. And did we get that last handout passed out, Kathy? Okay, so looking at the evaluation, here's what we're going to ask you to do. And I want you to think about this, and maybe share this with your friends, and we'll give them a sheet as well. Think about setting goals. Think about what you want to accomplish. Step one is identify outcome-related and the behavioral goals that you want to accomplish. Again, using the SMART goals that we talked about, make it specific, make it measurable, make it attainable, hard, reachable, specific, measurable. Have a deadline set for achieving your goal, your outcome goal, and then set performance goals in order to make that happen. List the obstacles, the people, groups, organizations, the skills and knowledge you're going to need, and then develop a plan of action. And the rest of this sheet, this handout here, is to help you with that plan of action. We're going to test, if you want us to, we will pre-test your health-related components of fitness. We have an exercise science lab. Our students in exercise science have already done this for over 200 students every year. They test them and pre-test them and post-test them. They're very good at what they do. You can come up and it will be over in just a few minutes. We'll let you know where you stand in regards to national norms, and that's what this is. This will tell you where everybody is, and you will know where you stand in relation to those people. Now, I'm not saying that you should totally depend on this sheet to determine this sheet, but it helps to know where you stand in relation to everybody else. Everybody norm references, right? That's why we give grades out. So you know how, not only where you stand, but also in reference to where you stand in relation to everybody else. So you get your pretest score, you look at the charts and you say, where am I on the chart? And maybe you could say, right now I'm in the 75th percentile with regards to muscular endurance. How many sit-ups can you do in 1 minute? I would like to be in the 90th percentile, which means if you are a 50 to 59-year-old male like me, and you were at the 70th percentile, you could do 31 sit-ups, and if you were looking at the 95th percentile, I'm going to raise that to 43. Well, what is it going to take specifically, using the overload principle, in order for me to get to where I need to be by this time next year? Well, I could set a year goal, outcome goal, and I could set monthly goals, and then I could set behavioral goals. What am I going to do to make that happen? Well, I'm going to work on sit-ups. Specifically, that would be the best thing for me to do, and I'm going to do the sit-ups the right way so I can work at my abdominals and strengthen my back as well, and I can get to where I need to be. You can do that with each of the health-related components. Setting behavioral goals, setting outcome goals, and holding yourself accountable to obtain. Then what about maintain? Once you get to where you want to be, you have to set new goals. What am I going to do in order to change my lifestyle in order to keep my abdominals as strong as I want them to be, in order to, bless you, to get my my muscular strength where it needs to be, my body comp to where I want it to be, my cardiovascular or my flexibility where I want it to be. Then you say, okay, now I'm going to set goals for maintenance. And maybe it means getting on a scale. I'm not saying it once a week, maybe once a month, getting on a scale and looking at where you are. And if you gained a few pounds, you say, well, I know maybe I need to do an extra lap around Lake St. Louis, okay? For me, that's what it would mean. Or maybe because I had that hot fudge sundae at McDonald's, then maybe I need to take an extra lap. Or maybe when I'm biking that extra lap, I say, you know what? I really want to reward myself, and I know we're not supposed to use food reward, but we all do. And you know, maybe I can afford to have something that I wouldn't have normally because I did do this extra lap today. I'm just saying, in reality, it all comes down to how much you're taking in and how much you're putting out. If you're taking in more than 3,500 calories and you're not not burning 3,500 calories, then you're going to end up storing energy. Stored energy is what fat is. So you look at these 5 health-related components, you pre-test, and we'll do that for you, and then you put down the benefits, why you're really wanting to do that, because that's important. You put down specifically what your behavioral goals are going to be, what your outcome goals are going to be, and that's table B. Then your strategies for monitoring and evaluation on a regular basis. And then at the end of whatever period of time you want it to be, and we'll put a file in our file cabinet for you specifically. We'll be your trainers, and we'll put that material in there, and we'll pull that material out, and we'll put down that post-test score, and we'll help you reach your goals on a regular basis, not only for this year, but for every year. There's no reason why we can't do that for you, and we're going to be in a new facility after this year, so it's going to be easier, and we'll have more space and better equipment and more room so we can better do that for you. And that's really what I wanted to bring to you this afternoon is, one, let's be fit and let's stay fit once we get there. And two, let's make use of what we have here at Missouri Baptist. We have each other to reinforce. We have each other, and we have equipment that's available to us. We have expertise that's available to us in the exercise science program. I hope that you all feel comfortable in coming to us and let us help you. Thank you.